All right, let's dive right in. Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore a single question, but it's a big one. A question that might just shake up the very foundation of who you think you are. We're on the hunt for the awareness that exists beyond the thinker.
So let's start this off with a question that's all about you. We're not beginning with an answer, but with a direct look into your own moment to moment experience.
And here it is. Just let this land for a second. What if you are not the one actually thinking your thoughts? What if you're not the author of that voice in your head at all?
For most of our lives, we operate on this default setting that the voice in our head is us. My thoughts are me, it's who I am. But this one little question, it starts to pull at that thread, suggesting a totally different way of relating to our own minds.
Okay, section 2, the illusion of ownership. To really get a feel for that first question, we've got to look at how we treat our thoughts and ask ourselves, can we really truly call them ours?
Let's just be real for a moment about how this works. Seriously, think about it. Do you know what your very next thought is going to be? Did you schedule it for 10:30 this morning? Did you get a little preview of it? Of course not. Thoughts just show up. They pop into your head, totally uninvited, with no choice or scheduling on your part.
And yet, what's the very first thing we do? The absolute instant a thought arrives, we grab it. We slap an I on the front of it and claim ownership. I thought this. It's this automatic unconscious reflex we have.
And that, right there, leads to the heart of the matter. If you didn't call for it, if you didn't decide to think it, then in what real sense is that thought yours? So here's a really powerful way to think about it. What if a thought isn't something you create, but more like a weather system? A cloud of sadness, a flash of anger, a fog of confusion, just passing through the vast open sky of your awareness. They come and they go. This brings us to the core distinction of this entire idea. Section 3, the thinker versus awareness. Let's really pull these two things apart. Let's just follow the logic here. If thoughts are like those clouds, they're just objects that appear and disappear in your mind, then you can't be the cloud. You have to be the space they appear in. You are the sky, not the weather that passes through it. And here is where it gets super practical. On the left, you see how we usually operate. Identification. I am angry. It's a statement of complete fusion. But now look at the huge shift on the right. This is a language of awareness. I experience anger. I observe fear. Can you feel the difference? One is being swallowed by the feeling. The other is creating space to just witness it. And the stakes here are incredibly high. The whole idea is that most of our psychological pain comes from this one simple mix-up, believing we are the storm instead of realizing we're the unchanging sky that holds the storm. So if that's the big idea, what's the payoff? What's in it for you? Well, that's what Section 4 is all about. Freedom from your mind. Instantly, the moment you stop identifying with every random thought, that harsh inner critic, you know the one, the voice that's always telling you you're not good enough, it starts to lose its power. It's just more noise. It's just another cloud passing by. You don't have to take it so personally. The same thing goes for those weird, intrusive thoughts that sometimes pop into our heads. When you see them not as some deep, dark reflection of who you are, but just as random mental spam, they lose their ability to really bother you. And even those really heavy, deep-seated things like shame, which are often fueled by us just replaying the same old stories over and over, they start to loosen their grip. Because if you are not the thought, you are not the shame that it carries. Now, some thoughts can feel so incredibly loud, right? They can feel urgent and demanding, like they are screaming for your attention. But it is so important to remember this. Volume is not the same thing as truth. We're often told that the goal is to control our minds, to force ourselves to have better thoughts, positive thinking. But this perspective offers a completely different path. It suggests real freedom isn't found in having better content in your head, but in having less attachment to whatever content happens to show up. And all of this brings us to our final section, which is less of a conclusion and more of, an invitation. An invitation to silence. Now, making this shift isn't always a walk in the park. The mind often resists it. Why? Well, because our sense of me, our ego, is basically just a long story made up of thoughts. So to stop identifying with the story can feel terrifying, like a total loss of control.
The ego would rather cling to a familiar, even a painful story, than face the peaceful emptiness of silence.
But maybe the most liberating part of this whole perspective is this. It's not about fixing something that's wrong with you. You're not broken. You are simply identified. This is just about a shift in perspective, not about repairing some deep character flaw.
So, to wrap this up, I want to leave you with a couple of questions to just sit with. First one, who or what is listening to your thoughts right now? And now, let's try a little experiment. Can you just wait and simply watch for the next thought that appears, and then just let it go without getting on the train and following it?
And in that tiny little gap, that moment of stillness before the next thought rushes in, what remains? What is that silent, aware space that is always, always there?